And Senator Cruz, thanks so much for being here. I'd first like to get your reaction to this big news from the U.S. Supreme Court.
Well, listen, I'm glad the Supreme Court is taking the case. I have to say what we've seen in this past year about the targeting from the left, the targeting from Democrat prosecutors of Donald Trump, I think has been an enormous abuse of power. We've never in our history had a president or former president indicted, and in the past year, Donald Trump has been indicted 4 different times by both the Biden Justice Department and by 2 Democrat DAs. And I think this is an abuse of power and a persecution of President Trump. And I very much hope that the Supreme Court puts a stop to it.
And you yourself, you've been to law school, you've been on the short list of many as a possible contender for a Supreme Court justice job yourself. I'm curious how you think the Supreme Court will rule on this.
Well, we'll see how the arguments play out, and the arguments on both sides. I can tell you we had just a few weeks ago another Supreme Court argument that the court just heard argument in, and that was the Colorado case where the Colorado Supreme Court had thrown Donald Trump off the ballot. And having listened to that argument, I am absolutely confident, 100% confident, the Supreme Court is going to reverse Colorado. And I think there's a real chance that the Supreme Court might do so unanimously. I hope that they do. I hope that the Supreme Court unanimously says, listen, it's for the voters to decide. The immunity issue, we'll see how the issues are briefed out and where the court lines up. I hope the court steps in and says, listen, elections should be decided by the voters at the ballot box and not by judges, not by prosecutors. You know, banana republics do this to each other. When one party gets in power, they try to lock up and put in jail their opponents.
That's the Colorado decision.
No. The Colorado thing is the Colorado decision. The Colorado decision is about taking Trump off the ballot, but the DOJ cases and the indictments in Georgia and New York are all about trying to put their political opponents in jail. That is what banana republics do too. It is not; those are not good faith prosecutions. They are targeted because the left hates Donald Trump, and the reason they're trying to convict him is they want to stop the voters from electing him. Fundamentally, I think every one of those indictments is designed to be an assault on democracy, to try to frustrate the voters and prevent the voters from electing him. I hope the Supreme Court doesn't allow that to happen.
As you well know, banana republics also give complete immunity to their leaders. Do you think that the President of the United States, whoever he or she is, should have complete immunity?
I think that President Trump's conduct as president was not criminal. It was not remotely criminal. If you read, for example,
but that's not my question.
The indictment Jack Smith brought. But hold on a second. It depends on. It's one thing if Joe Biden decides tomorrow to gun down a busload of nuns. That is a different scenario than a president exercising his First Amendment rights, exercising his job as president. I think what President Trump did does not meet any definition of criminal conduct, and it would not have been brought against him if he were not the former president of the United States and right now the leading Republican candidate, and in fact, the leading candidate in the country to be elected president.
Right, but I'm asking about immunity because his lawyers were in the appellate court arguing that presidents have immunity from any and all actions unless they are first impeached for that crime. So that's my very specific question to you.
Historically, the courts have accorded immunity to presidents of the United States. We'll see how those arguments are fleshed out at the Supreme Court. We'll see how each side briefs up their argument and how they present their argument.
So,
but I think the fundamental issue, the issue people care about at home, is should the presidency be decided by a rogue prosecutor abusing power, or should the presidency be decided by the voters? And I'll tell you, on that question, I'm emphatically with the voters on that one.
Okay. So I want to switch to Senate Leader McConnell, who announced today he's stepping down. You've been a big critic of his. You've called for his ouster for quite some time. Your colleague, Senator Josh Hawley, said McConnell is, quote, a symbol of everything that's wrong in Washington. Do you share that assessment?
Well, listen, as you note, I have not been shy about expressing my disagreements with various decisions Mitch McConnell has made over the years. That being said, today, I simply want to give respect for his long service, his honorable service, and he made a judgment that it was time to move on, and I certainly respect his judgment in that regard. And I will say, Mitch McConnell will have many legacies, but I think by far his most consequential legacy will be hundreds of principled constitutionalists nominated and confirmed to the federal judiciary. And I told Mitch at lunch today, I said that legacy will outlast both him and me and all the rest of us, and that's something to be really proud of.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.